right, I guess we'll just get right into it. I'm going to be tattooing Frankenstein, and I'm just going to walk through a little bit of my process and what I'm thinking. Not really like a tutorial or anything, and just kind of like just capturing my thoughts as I create the art, as I do the tattoo. But first, I want to introduce myself. My name is Kyle Giffen, and I'm a tattoo artist in Austin, Texas. I've been tattooing at this point in this video for 21 years, and recently I have fallen in love with tattooing all over again. And I think that when you tattoo for that long, you're just kind of, there's things you kind of just fall into as routine, and I see it in other artists that have been tattooing for a very long time. It just looks like things get old to them, and I could see that kind of following my path as well. And I just took a dive into art, and really it was watercolor painting for me that just kind of like re-sparked everything artistically for me, and wanting to get into pieces that were more detailed and just explore art in a more aggressive way. You know, I don't want to be one of those older tattoo dudes that stayed stagnant. You know what I mean? But yeah, I own a shop, Little Pricks Tattoo, in Austin, Texas, and I love doing tattoos, and not just black and gray realism like this piece will be, but traditional is like my backbone. I like strong line work. I like bold. I like tattoos that'll stick. Yeah, so I guess we'll just start talking about the art. Right now, I'm just combing through all the pieces that will translate into the Thermofax machine, which makes a stencil for us. I try to break, when it's black and gray like this, I try to break it down into 4 parts. And the 4 parts that I'm really looking at is black, dark tones, medium tones, the lightest tones, and then what will just be the skin of the client. And recently I learned keeping nice white breaks. They're not really white, but like areas I won't tattoo at all is equally as important as the rest of the shading. You really need that for contrast. It's the opposite of black. Right now, I'm just grabbing all the textures, grabbing all like the darkest tones. Texture stuff like this is easy to break down mentally for me if I just grab mostly the darkest pieces. I use a particular type of needle to get in there and create the texture, which you'll see later. So yeah, hit up the eye here, and depends on the piece I'm working on, but something like this, like a creature or something that's more, I guess, I'm freezing up. Anyway, I don't know. Fuck it. But yeah, I mean, if it's not something from real life, like a picture of your, you know, like grandma or something, you can kind of just use a stencil as mostly a guide. It's more there to kind of hold your hand as you are staring at the image while you tattoo and put it on skin. So yeah, I'm almost done. I'm just hitting up some of the lightest parts, things that I think are going to be important to grab. So yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. Here's a shot of the shop that my wife and I own. My wife is Tita Jules, and she tattoos as well. And we have put together this beautiful shop. So I fucking love this shop. If you're in Austin, you got to see it. It's Halloween, so we got the Halloween decorations up. That's my ugly mug. setting up the camera for you guys. This is the first voiceover of mine, so let me know what you think. Let me know what you want more of from me, or questions, all that stuff, so I can help out. But yeah, just the typical setup. I don't really want to explain the setup. I'm not really trying to teach people to tattoo on this. If you love tattoos and you're interested in getting tattoos and you love tattoo shops and tattoo artists and the culture, then this will totally be for you. But if you're trying to learn how to tattoo, there's no way in hell I'm going to give you all my secrets through YouTube. I actually think that, I don't know, I'm team gatekeep tattoos. So call me old school. I just don't think that you should just air out everything you know about tattoos. I think the industry is getting a little too saturated right now. I'm all for people growing and learning, but I got my secrets that only my closest apprentices will ever know, because they earned them, and that's how I go about it. So this is my client's beautiful arm, and I love this client. He's been coming to me for a couple of years now. I see him probably about once a year, maybe twice a year. He always comes to get just cool Halloween tattoos, and I was so stoked when I saw that he wanted this piece. So yeah, this is the stencil that we made on the iPad earlier, and I'm laying it on, making sure everything gets on there real nice and not smooth, but just make sure everything is just on his skin. No bubbles in the stencil, that kind of stuff. And if he wants it moved after I peel it off, I'll move it. I don't care how many times the client wants to move a stencil. I will always move it for you. That is so important. Cool, so here we go. I have the camera set up, and I'm gonna start down at the bottom left because I'm left-handed. And I don't want to start anywhere else necessarily because I don't want my hands smearing the stencil. But these days, there's some pretty great products that we use that just keep the stencil on. But they didn't have these back in the day, so I have the habit of working from left to right to not smear the stencil at all. Yeah, right now, I'm just starting out. I'm just packing the black. I just want to start dialing in some of my darker tones. I typically work dark to light in most cases. So I'm just starting with all the darkest stuff, and there's this big patch of dark that's kind of, I guess, the shirt. It's not really, you can't really tell in the photo, but it's just implied that he's wearing a shirt. So, and all this is black right here. So we're getting in there. We're packing the black. I want to get in here a little closer in the shot for you guys so you can see what's going on. And for clients that don't really know how this works, so the needle is essentially, I'm aiming for the dermis, and that there's three main layers to the skin, and I'm going for the middle. I don't want to go too deep because everything will just blow out, and a blowout is when things get into the fatty layer, a little deeper into the skin, and the ink just kind of spreads all over the place. I've seen a lot of things online where people they think they have a blowout, but that's not really what a blowout is. That, or the terminology for what blowout means, is changing. Sometimes I'm on Reddit and I try to help people that have questions about tattoos. Like, they're worried something's going on with their tattoo in a healing process or something, and I try to lend a helping hand. And I see a lot of people talking about blowouts, and it's not always a blowout. But yeah, so I'm aiming for the dermis, and that's where ink sticks. Sometimes with fine line stuff, the needle is on the epidermis, which is the most outermost layer of the skin, and it's not really penetrating into the skin too great. And you'll see that, in fine line tattoos, and they'll look great for Instagram, but they don't really stay, and they don't hold up too great. There are techniques to make these things hold up better, like fine line stuff. So I'm not saying all fine line tattoos are trash or anything, but it does take a really it's a specialty tattoo. So if you're, some people, they don't know, if you're wanting a small tattoo, like something really, really tiny, micro tattoo, super fine line, that might be more expensive than something that's a little bigger, because there's not a whole lot of room for error there. And usually they require a little bit of a touch-up. But back to this tattoo, I'm using not black, but almost my darkest wash. You can tell it's just a super deep gray. It's not fully black. And I'm applying it with a round shader. And that's a group of needles that is just pointed into like a little round shape. It's almost like I'm using a tiny pencil or a colored pencil. It feels a lot like color pencil to me. And I've been loving these needles because I can get in there, I can do tiny little details, and I can leave the bigger gaps for bigger needles, and I can just kind of get through there quicker. Since this is on the forearm, it's not the forearm, I'm sorry, the shoulder. It's not too bad. Shoulder's not too crazy. But the time it takes to do these tattoos, it can wear you down a little bit. And that's different for everybody. For me, I'm probably like 2 hours and then I don't want to get tattooed anymore. You can push me to 4 hours and I'm absolutely done getting tattooed. I just don't want to do it anymore. But some people, they can just sit all day long. And some people can sit for 30 minutes only. But most people, I would say I'm more on a weenie. I'm a little bit of a puss when it comes to getting tattooed. But most people, they can sit 4 hours pretty easy. So I don't remember exactly how long this entire piece took me, but I do move pretty quick. If I had to guess, maybe it took me 3 hours, maybe 2. Now that I've done pretty much all the neck, I'm just finishing up the left ear and working my way into that textured area on the cheek. Maybe what I should do is put the original image that I'm looking at, so you guys can kind of see what the goal is and how to, just to see the goal, just so you know what's going on. I didn't really think about that. So when I'm looking at this stencil, I can see all the shapes as light, medium, dark, just all of them. And it probably looks pretty confusing to someone that's not used to seeing tattoo stencils in this way. So essentially I've made kind of like a shade by numbers kind of roadmap. And maybe that's why I think it'd be a good idea to show on screen their original image. As I keep doing these like realism stylized portraits or landscapes or whatever they are, I'm learning that starting with the blacks first is just better. It just really sets up the whole piece for me. I can see everything better. But I've been using a little less black than this image. This image is more high contrast intentionally, but I like to use a little bit less black than this. I think that makes things look even a little more realistic. This is a Halloween piece, and this isn't full-on smooth, soft shading. Just doesn't work as well for something that wants to be darker, creepier looking. So now I'm working my way around the left eye. I'm just continuing with those blacks. And I'm going to do most of that lighter stuff at the end. But right now I just want all the hard shadows. It's kind of like the scaffolding of the piece. The client's sitting fantastic too. He always sits well. In any time my clients need a break, I will give them a break, obviously. And I'm not one of the tattoo artists that take too many breaks. Some clients don't want any breaks. Some just want you to go all the way through and not stop. Some people feel like if you take a break and then you come back, it just hurts more. And then there's other people that need the break so they can kind of mentally reset and they can get through more. So everybody's a little bit different. And right now, my job is to give you the best tattoo I can and keep you as comfortable as possible as I can. So if you need a break, I take breaks. If you want me to go straight through it, I'll go straight through it. Whatever is better for you. If it's a really long piece, I'll take like a lunch or something in the middle. And I'm talking like pieces that some pieces take 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, and man's got to eat. So it's good to refuel in those super long sessions. But like I was saying earlier before, I think this tattoo took 2-3 hours. I don't remember. Most people in the shop think they're really impressed with how fast I tattoo. I'm just obsessed with making things as clean and as efficient as I can. So that's led me to work pretty quickly. At 21 years, nothing is very difficult as far as applying the tattoo for me. I pretty much know exactly what I'm doing. So, yeah, I mean, it's like tying my shoes at this point, it's just, I'm getting the job done, and I'm not rushing, but I'm definitely just applying everything efficiently so I can have you in less pain and get the tattoo and have something that we're both proud of, I'm just loving so much building the detail in the eye. The eyes are the most important part with any human or creature. It is the first thing that we look at as human beings because the eyes convey a lot of what's going on. Somebody's angry. I really think it's a survival technique at this point. Animal wants to eat or kill you or whatever, back in the caveman days or shit, even today. With this eye, I just kind of imagine, I try to think about the emotion that's going on with this Frankenstein. Or it's not Frankenstein. The Frankenstein's the doctor. I think they just called him the monster. There's certain tricks with drawing and tattooing that you always know are great tricks. They work every time. They make the clients happy every time. Over the last 2 decades that I've done this, I've learned those tricks that make people happy pretty quickly. And that's an area where you can get lazy as a long-term artist. So if you're just kind of, you're just getting to the point where you just make people happy and then you move on, you make your money, you move on, you make them happy, move on, yeah, you can do that. Everybody's happy. But then when you can do more inside of yourself, I think that's 2 things. That customers, clientele, they want that part of you. They want that part of you that is going to impress yourself. They want you to push yourself into an area that they want you to push yourself into an area that you're really impressed with, not just bare bones, or just the minimum to make people happy. There's so much that you can do in art that you can push yourself, and you'll be very proud of it in the end. And they'll be stunned with the piece, that they love it so much. A good example would be, like, I don't know, maybe somebody wants a butterfly. I don't even know how many butterflies. There was a time when I was doing so many butterflies that I wouldn't even use a stencil. The client would just point to their body where they wanted the butterfly, and I would just tattoo it straight on them. But like in a butterfly, you can do the butterfly, you can color it and send them on their way, right? You can use minimal amount of color fades and you can see them go. Or you can use white highlights, you can do a drop shadow, and what I mean by color fades, I'm talking like it's going to fade from green to cream, right? That would be what I would call a 2-color fade. Like I'll take the green and I'll fade it out, and then I'll take the cream and I'll fade that into the green. Or I could just take green and just fade it into nothing, just the skin tone. And those little things are the difference of pushing your art just a little further. So like the client's not going to know. They're not going to know that you could have did cream. They're not going to know that you could have did green to mint. You know, they're going to see their new tattoo. They're going to love it. They're going to get the new car smell. If you just think a little more further, then I'm just going to take green and whip it out, and that's it. Unless the style calls for that, right? Like some traditional stylized tattooing calls for just like raw colors that just fade into just nothing and not into each other. And that looks cool too. I love that stuff. But most people at this point in time in tattooing, I don't think traditional is as popular as it was, but it is growing more in popularity right now. But yeah, to get back on track, just, yeah, you're going to want to do that extra color. Just pop better. Give them that little bit of extra that they didn't even know that they could have. They didn't know they could have white highlights. They didn't know they could have that 2-color fade. Fuck it, do 3-color fade. You know, maybe they don't have the budget for all that. Maybe you just give it to them anyway, so you did the best tattoo on their body and you gave them the best experience, and they like your shit more than the other guy. You know, there's a lot of artists here in Austin, Texas, and it's highly competitive. And if you're lazy, then you're going to get walked on. You're going to fall. And I don't plan on getting lazy at all with tattooing or my art or how I treat my clients. I wanted to include this shot here because it shows how I'm looking at the iPad. And don't worry, the iPad's all wrapped up, so it's okay that I'm touching it with contaminated gloves, quote unquote. Once you touch somebody's skin or blood, then technically your hands are considered contaminated, and you have to be really careful about what you touch because you don't want to spread any bloodborne pathogens or anything like that, which I have a certification in, so don't worry about that. So I have it on the iPad there, and I like to zoom in to the areas that I'm working on, and I could just kind of focus where I'm applying the ink and staying on track. I like to try to keep the iPad, usually I keep it closer to the tattoo than this, because I think that the further your eyes travel from one area to another, you lose more information. And I learned that from an amazing art teacher in a community college here in Austin. And I'll never forget it. The faster you can flick your eyes to the reference material and to the area that you're working on, the better it is for you. I've seen artists that are practically turning their back around to look at the image and then go back. And I can see pieces of the art just kind of falling apart. It's so fun to watch me tattoo. Just all those little gray hairs popping up, just getting older. It's such a blessing, to be honest, just to have a job where I've done art my whole life and not really being really told what to do. It's good, but there's a lot of pressure. You know, you got to keep the ship running. You got to keep the ship floating. You got to make a lot of hard decisions, and I think you get better and better at it. The shop's been open for, at this moment of this video, 13 years. That is insane. Sometimes this shop, this location, people will come in and I ask, how'd you hear about us? And they say, oh, I've seen this shop since I was a kid. That is such a crazy feeling. But it's cool. It's cool to serve this area of Austin for that long and just establish myself and just show people my artistic abilities and let them know that I truly care about their tattoo and their experience here. So there's not really a whole lot left. I'm getting close to finishing this piece. You can see the blood drying. I think we took a little break. And rather than try to scrub the blood off him, I like to wait near the end and apply some paper towels to the client and soak them in green soap, and that will loosen up all the blood and I can wipe him more gently, because right now he's probably feeling pretty tender. And we do offer a numbing spray, and it really does help. But for pieces like this, I can't really spray too much because the numbing spray will erase the stencil, and I need that stencil, obviously. So I can only spray on areas that I just kind of finished to give some relief. Or after all the stencil's done, I'll come back, and what I like to do is just balance everything out. Like maybe there needs to be a little more contrast here or there, or a little lighter shade here or there. And that's when I can spray the client. But essentially what's happening is that blood is drying and it's wanting to turn into a scab. It's not all blood. Some of it is just plasma. Your body will weep blood and plasma and a little bit of ink too. And that plasma and blood will coagulate and harden and start turning into a scab. And that's just kind of the natural process. But we're trucking along here. Everything's just going just so good. I was just so happy with this piece. I can't wait to show you the end result. So now I'm going to add I'm just going to soften everything up. I'm just kind of looking at the piece, and I have my darks in, my medium tones are in. And what I'm doing right there is I have more of my lighter washes just to begin to smooth everything out. We don't want anything to look choppy. Choppy looks amateur. So we want to take the time and lightly and gently apply the lightest tones. And that's what I'm doing here. And I'm just kind of balancing everything as well. Anything that looks a little off or something needs to be pushed more into a shadow, that kind of thing. And that's why it looks like there's barely any ink going in. Because it's true, there is barely any ink, and the ink is super light. Oh, I should mention that too. Well, one, sorry that the camera is slightly out of focus. But I wanted to talk about, with the lighter tones, you get a lot of skin irritation that is visible. Anytime you get tattooed, you're going to have irritation on your skin, and it'll be red. It'll pretty much, yeah, it'll just look red. Some of it will welt up a little bit, and that redness can make things look darker than they actually are. Because what is happening is you're seeing the skin's irritation through the ink. Like black, you can't see the irritation in black because it's black, and you're not going to see that red irritation. But the lighter tones, you'll be able to see that. I wanted to skip to this part of the video to show you this cheek, because now that a little time has passed, you can see the irritation there. Just to show how extreme that can get. But all that, like I said before, all that irritation is going to be super soft, beautiful shade. So I'm so pumped to see this healed. And before I show you the reveal, I like to take a photo and show you what, obviously the end result, rather than blabbing and having obscure camera angles. We're right at the end, and I want to thank you if you made it this far. I can't believe, I don't know how long this video is going to be, 40 minutes or something. If you like this long form style of video, I'm going to make more of it. Or if you think it's just too goddamn long and you want me to not talk so much and just get right to the bread and butter, I can do that too. Originally, I was thinking this whole thing was going to be like a 15-minute video. But, I don't know, it's nice talking to you guys and reading the comments and seeing what y'all think. But yeah, if you're in the Austin area and you're thinking about getting tattooed, I'd love to meet you and help you out, help you achieve your goal on the tattoo you want, and listen to your needs and your wants. And I just want to be there for you. I really enjoy tattooing, and I enjoy making people happy with this. I mean, damn, at this point, I really feel like it gives me a purpose. It's one of the most joyful things that I do, and I find it very therapeutic. I love it. I love meeting new people. I love establishing a relationship with my clients and continuing to make their bodies into something that they love. So here is the end result, and I'm just thrilled with it. I'm very happy with it. I cannot wait to show you a healed picture so you know what it looks like healed. All the blacks are in the appropriate places that they need to be. So even if this client ended up getting a lot of sun, or 15 years from now when the lightest tones will fade away, all the framework is there for this piece to stand the test of time, so to speak. And that's one of my favorite things about it. Like I was talking about earlier in the video, usually I don't go this dark, but to give a bolder Halloween vibe, because this client just loves Halloween. I mean, who doesn't? I thought it'd be more fitting. And I just like the strong light on the character, on Frankenstein's monster. So like with the lighter tones, like I was saying earlier, it's just skin tone, and those are just as important as the blacks. Yeah, anyway, I just want to say thanks again. Please, if you haven't, like, subscribe, helps the channel. I don't even know what my goals are for the channel. I just know that I like making content and sharing it to people. I don't think a YouTube channel is going to make me rich and famous. I'm not aiming for that. I just want to get out there and be a part of this awesome tattoo community that I've helped grow, and meet people, really. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the tattoo. I got more stuff coming up. I have some blackout stuff. People really like that. I have some color realism pieces that are coming to an end, but a lot of the larger pieces that I'm working on, they take a long time. I see the client from maybe once a month, and maybe some pieces will take 5 sessions. So, it takes 5 months before they're done. And I wish they could get done faster, but it's best not to push it. When getting into more expensive piece, there's no need to really break the bank. Just we set up session work. You come in as you can afford, which is usually once a month. People are on top of their bills, and they know what extra they have, and I'm thankful that I'm even chosen to be their artist, and they spend their hard-ass earned money to me so I can make a living and provide for my family. Super grateful. But yeah, we'll make it affordable. I can always work with your budget. That's not a problem. I can tell you how much it is, and we break it up. And if it's too much, I can tell you what I can do to make it cheaper. There's a lot of things we can do without sacrificing too much of the art. But the more that you pay, the more I can get finer detail. And sometimes that's where all the good stuff is. That's kind of the cherry on top sometimes. But sometimes it's not about detail. Sometimes it's about a personal message. And I get that. So anyway, I'll let y'all guys go, and thank you so much again. And I'll leave more details inside of the description. Thank you so much.